Hi, I'm Nancy, and this is the crazy story of my life events that turned me upside down from being a poor maid to becoming the Prince Charming's girl. I was just a baby when my parents died in a car accident. My aunt took me in, and even though she was a poor single maid with not much to get by, she loved me like I was her own. Once when I was 4, Aunt came home on Christmas Eve looking bone-tired. But when she took off her hat, I almost fell down in shock. Her long, beautiful hair was all gone. She looked like a boy. Don't look so worried. It'll grow back. I sold my hair because I didn't want another Christmas to go by without you having a present. She took out a beautiful necklace with my name on it and put it around my neck. I couldn't believe she'd done this for me. Aunt would always leave me with the neighbors when she went to work. But once when I was 6, they had to go out of town and she had to take me with her. My jaw dropped when I saw her workplace. Our whole house could fit inside the hall of this mansion.
Now I see why you're so tired all the time, Auntie. You need a car to get around here.
The lady of the mansion overheard me and laughed.
Oh, aren't you a little cutie pie? Why don't you come meet my son, Jeff?
Just then, a boy my age walked up to me and gave me the warmest smile.
Hey, wanna go play in my room?
Yes! And that day was the day that changed my life forever. I met my best friend. I loved hanging out with him, and I begged my aunt to take me with her often. Soon enough, Jeff's mom arranged for his private tutor to teach me too, so now I had a reason to go every day. As I grew older, my aunt started paying more attention to my looks. One day she came home with a bag full of cheap makeup.
You're a pretty girl, Nancy. You have to always look perfect when you're hanging out with Madame's boy.
But, Auntie, we're friends, and he knows what I look like. Why would he care about my face? But she wouldn't hear a word, and after that, I always had to go to the mansion with a fully done-up face. Over the years, I realized that I had totally fallen in love with Jeff, but I knew I was just the maid's niece, and he'd never feel the same way about me. Once when I was 14, I fell really sick and couldn't go to the mansion for a week. But when I was alone at home one day, someone rang the doorbell, and I was shocked to see that it was Jeff.
Nancy, I was really worried about you.
And with that, he suddenly hugged me. I totally panicked. I pushed him aside and ran to my room. Gosh, I looked so pale and terrible. I quickly applied makeup to my face and hurried downstairs.
Why are you wearing makeup?
Because I'm not pretty enough without it.
Nancy, please go and wash your face. Can you do that for me?
Okay, but will you promise to be nice?
I promise.
When I came back with my washed face, Jeff put his hand on my chin and held my face up.
Nancy, you're so beautiful.
As he pulled me closer, I saw his eyes were tearing up. We kissed, and there were fireworks exploding in my head. He told me to take care of myself and left. I was excited and nervous about seeing him the next day. But when we got to the mansion, I saw his mom was busy supervising some men as they were taking out furniture from the house. She called me and handed me an envelope.
This is your aunt's salary. A little something for you too. I'll miss watching you grow up, Nancy.
What's happening, ma'am? Where's Jeff?
He left last night because he transferred to a high school in Paris, and I'm going there too. Maybe we'll see each other again someday.
She pulled me into a warm hug and then walked away. I was so scared, thinking I'd never get to talk to Jeff again. But he emailed me a week later, and we wrote to each other every single day. His life in Paris seemed amazing. But soon, the emails got less and less frequent, till they just stopped altogether. He seemed to be really busy with his new life, and I figured it was time for me to move on with my own. By the time I graduated from high school, I was working 2 jobs, as a cleaner at the mall and a librarian's assistant. One day when I got home, I found out that my aunt had broken her foot. I slipped at work, and the doctor said I can't work for weeks. I can't afford to lose that job, Nancy. You won't, okay? I'll go instead. The next day, when I was cleaning one of the guest rooms, I came across a portrait of Jeff. As I touched it gently, a high-pitched voice suddenly made me jump out of my skin.
Are you drooling over that dork? Well, you're just the maid, so I guess you don't have any standards. That's my stepbrother, and I have yet to meet a bigger loser than him.
Jeff had a stepsister? No, I was just cleaning.
I was still talking? Don't interrupt me. I'm Linda. That's Miss Linda for you. And now my mom and I live here, so I don't know why his ugly portrait is still around.
You can throw it in the trash on your way out. I didn't have the heart to throw it away, so I snuck it into the dusty old attic and prayed she'd never go there. One evening, just as I was heading out of the mansion for work, Linda popped out of nowhere. Ninny, come with me. It's an emergency. I followed her to her room to see piles of dresses on the bed.
I'm hosting a party tonight and I have to look amazing. You have to take pictures of me in every outfit so I can let my followers on Instagram decide.
Miss Linda, I'm sorry, but I have plans with a friend and...
Friend? Where does a maid even make friends? Is there a maid school you went to?
No, just a regular high school.
Listen, I don't have time for this. Cancel your stupid plans because you're supposed to help with the party. Didn't Mom tell you? Now, chop chop, start my photo session.
As if all this wasn't bad enough, I accidentally dropped a glass of juice on one of her friends, and she went ballistic.
OMG, this is literally the easiest job on the planet. First, your dumb aunt slips and breaks her foot, and now you're being such an idiot. Does stupidity run in the family?
I turned around, grabbed my stuff, and ran out the front door. I was never coming back here. Just as I stepped out, I bumped into someone. Jeff? His adorable smile lit up his face, and he pulled me close. But suddenly I pushed him away. No, you just cut me out of your life. And now you decide to walk back into mine and expect me to welcome you? I know you're mad, and I'll understand if you don't want to forgive me. But Nancy, I've missed you so much. So, why didn't you stay in touch? I tried, but I had Dad watching me like a hawk. He did his best to make sure I wouldn't contact you because he felt you were distracting me. I'm so sorry. I looked at his face, and I knew he was being honest. Can you please just hug me now? We hugged. He whisked me away to a beautiful viewing point on a cliff, with the whole city glittering beneath us and the stars above us. He gently drew me close and kissed me, and in that moment, it felt like everything was just right. The next day, I really didn't want to go back to work, but I did for Aunt's sake. When I got there, Linda was already screaming at some maids. The minute she spotted me, she went off on me.
Here comes another idiot. Did you think elves and fairies were going to come at night and clean this mess? It's still waiting for you. Get to it. Now!
Before I could speak, I heard Jeff behind me. Knock it off, Linda. You can't talk to Nancy like that.
Oh, I see. You're in love with this maid. Well, history really does repeat itself. Our dad also married way below his league when he chose your mom. Now it's your turn.
Don't you dare say anything about my mom or Nancy, and you can't treat her this way.
Oh yeah? Watch me.
And with that, she walked up to me and slapped me, and I just snapped. I pushed her to the ground, and just as I was about to punch her stupid face, Jeff pulled me away. Linda's mom came running at the commotion, and she fired me on the spot. I don't want you or your aunt to ever set foot in this house again. When I went home and told everything to Aunt, she burst into tears. Please don't be upset. I promise I'll find another job. But just then, Jeff spoke up. You don't have to. Please, let me help you. I love Nancy, and you worked for us for so many years. It's the least I can do. I tried to refuse, but Jeff just wouldn't take no for an answer, so I accepted his offer till I found some work. Soon after, I got into college and also started a part-time job. As much as I wanted him to stay, I knew Jeff had to go finish his studies in Paris. We kept in touch as much as possible, and some days I missed him enough to cry. On the day of my graduation, he didn't show up because he said his flight was delayed, and I felt really sad. But when I got home, I saw a brand new car outside, and Jeff hopped out of it. Suddenly, fireworks erupted in the sky, and Jeff took out a box from his pocket. Wait, what? He was going to propose? But when I opened it, I saw car keys inside. It's for you, babe. And here, this too. He handed me a letter, which was an offer to work at his dad's company. I squealed with joy and kissed him. Just a few weeks after I'd started working, I landed a big client for the company. Everyone gathered around in the conference room to congratulate me, and I rose from my seat. All those years when I was a maid, I could only dream of working in a place like this one. Some dreams really do come true, and I'm so grateful.
Snap out of it, you idiot, because you don't belong here. Unless you're carrying a mop and cleaning the floors.
We all turned around to see Linda, who looked mental. But just then, Jeff raised a toast to me, and so did everyone else, completely ignoring her. After working for a few months, I started noticing errors in the accounts, and I discovered that Linda had been embezzling a huge sum of money from the company. When I went to Jeff with all the proof, both Linda and her mom were immediately kicked off the board of directors. Jeff and his dad thanked me profusely, and soon after, he moved me and my aunt to his mansion. A year later, I was feeling really nauseous for a few days, and it turned out that I was pregnant. Jeff's family was overjoyed, and 9 months later, we welcomed our daughter, Natasha. Unlike other kids, she couldn't complain about not being invited to our wedding. Natasha was the flower girl at the ceremony, and Jeff and I had the most beautiful wedding day ever.
Hi, my name is Selena. Do you know the feeling of having an annoying sister in your life who is just there to ruin everything for you? Well, mine is a psycho jealous sister. She used my condition against me, but I got rid of her eventually. You see, I was born to super rich parents who owned more than half the city, and after I was born, they just went crazy with happiness. On my first tooth party, my dad organized a water park party for all the kids, but when Mom brought me outside, I started yelling and my skin turned super red, like blood. Luckily, there was a doctor in the crowd and he came running to help. I was diagnosed with extreme photosensitivity that would only increase as I aged. Basically, I could never step out in the sun without getting burned. After that, my parents always kept me indoors during the day, and all the windows were covered with black curtains. Once when I was 4, I cried and said, "I want to go to school and have friends." "Oh, honey, you can't, but we'll bring them both to you. We'll hire private teachers for you, and we'll get you a pet." They got me a really cute hamster, and he was kind of my best friend. All was good until my little sister was born. Her name was Rita, and she was pure evil. I discovered she was jealous of me once she turned 3. She knew about my condition, but she was still angry that my parents paid more attention to me. On her 3rd birthday, she got me a piece of cake with a candle on it and said,
"Now this candle will burn you."
"No, honey, I'm only allergic to the sun, not candles."
"Oh, so it won't hurt you? Well then, okay."
And with that, she threw the candle on my bed, and the blanket instantly caught fire. I started yelling for my parents, and I almost got hurt getting out of the room. Once, when I was 8, Rita threw a tantrum that she wanted to be homeschooled like me, but of course, my parents refused. What made things worse was what happened on my 10th birthday when my parents invited everyone to a super fancy restaurant at night. One sophisticated lady saw me and said to Mom, "Oh, your daughter is very pretty, like too pretty. But the other one, oh, she's not pretty, like at all. Oh, yes, the youngest one is just ugly. I wonder if she'll ever get married." Just then, Rita stood up and flung juice straight at the women's faces. Then she turned to me.
"You just wait and watch, Selena. I'm gonna make you wish you were the ugliest girl on the planet. You'll be praying to God to make you ugly."
That night, I was asleep when I heard some noises. I opened my eyes to see Rita holding a big poster of her drawings. Things like her hanging someone up, crucifying others, and taking someone's eye out.
"Do you see this eye? It's yours, babe, but one day it's gonna be mine."
I stood up and pushed her away and locked the door behind her. She was a total psycho. Over the coming years, Rita just wouldn't understand that I got special treatment because of my condition. I tried to reason with her, so I thought maybe throwing a party where we could both invite our friends would help us get closer. What a stupid decision that was. I was 13 back then and invited the only 2 friends I had, Mark and Emily, while Rita invited half the school. Suddenly, during the party, Rita stood in front of everyone holding up a drawing I'd made. It was the 3 of us, me, Mark, and Emily.
"Listen here, everyone. So our princess Selena can draw, but she also has a little secret. Let me read it for you. I'm so in love with Mark, but I also love Emily. I will soon ask them both out and kiss them both at the same time. I will kidnap Emily if she rejects me. We will be the happiest lovers triangle."
Everyone went silent, and Mark and Emily turned red. I couldn't believe my sister would lie like that. No, you liar. I didn't write that. You just came up with it. Why are you so evil?
Why are you so perfect?
I'm not, Rita. I wish I was normal, just like you.
Oh, like me? You wish. I would never have a boyfriend and a girlfriend at the same time. That's just shameless. Ew. You do that to the only two people who like you? That's just dumb and gross.
Just stop it. Just then, Mike took Emily's hand and left. I was so shocked and embarrassed that I didn't even stop them. I just went to my room and locked the door, and the party continued like nothing had happened. After that day, I knew I had to teach Rita a lesson, and I knew that the best way to tease her was to live my life to the fullest. The very next day, I invited Mark over. When he came to my room, I made sure to leave the door open so Rita could hear everything. Mark, I'm really sorry about last night. You know that my sister is... Listen, Selena, I don't believe a word your psycho sister says, but I was just too embarrassed to say, so I left. I put my finger on his mouth and pulled him closer to kiss him. Mwah! Will you be my boyfriend, Mark? He said yes, and we hugged. Then I heard Rita's room door close very hard. In your face, witch. Over the next 2 years, Rita was always making it obvious how jealous she was of me for having a boyfriend. She even tried to break into my room several times. Once, she used a knife to open it, but luckily I was ready. I attacked her with pepper spray and ran to my parents. Once she brought home a boy who was 4 years older than her. Dad totally lost it and kicked him out. My parents were getting so tired of her craziness. But the last straw was when she called the police at midnight once. To my horror, she slipped her t-shirt off her shoulder to show scratches on her skin, and she pointed accusingly at Mark. That boy, he's dangerous. He attacked me. I barely managed to escape. What? My parents told the cops that she was making it all up, and Mark would never do such a thing. Gosh, if you're so jealous, just get yourself a boyfriend, you ugly psycho bimbo. I expected her to say something harsh, but instead she started crying and fell on her knees. She looked up pleadingly at the cops. See how my family treats me. Just take me away from them. Please, help me. Please save me. What an actress. Next morning, my parents took Rita to a psychologist. Turned out my sister had some issues and needed therapy every few days. But she didn't take that so well. After a few days, when I got back from my date with Mark, I found Rita had prepared meat sandwiches for me. What did she want? To poison me? I said no and went to my room. I wanted to feed my little hamster, but I didn't find him there. I started looking everywhere. Then it hit me. Oh my God! I ran back to her. Where is my hamster?
I don't know.
What did you do to my hamster?
I don't know.
Mom, Dad, Rita ate my hamster. And then I passed out. When I woke up, my parents told me that they had talked to Rita's doctor and she might be admitted to a psychiatric ward. I wasn't really happy to hear that, but I knew it was for everyone's safety. A month later, Rita was gone and transferred to that hospital. Life was good, and I had the best time with Mark and Emily. 4 years passed, and it was the day of my graduation. I was so in love with Mark that I wanted to marry him right away, even though we were so young. He agreed, and my parents suggested he move in with us. So he did. During the day, Mark would leave for college, and I would stay home. One day, I called for the maids to get me something to eat, but no one responded. I went downstairs and found no one. Then I heard a familiar voice. I was sure it was the voice of my hamster, but it seemed to be coming from the backyard. I thought I'd just take a quick look and it wouldn't hurt me. But I just popped my head out the door when suddenly someone pulled me out with all their force.
Hey, miss me, sis?
What are you doing here?
Oh, well, they decided to let me go.
I feel much better, actually. You really thought your hamster came back to life? Are you still that dumb, you spoiled daddy's girl? And then she pulled me out more, and I was under direct sunlight. It started to hurt my skin, and I screamed. Then I attacked her. One of the maids heard us and came running. When Rita saw her, she let me go and ran away. Thankfully, I wasn't hurt, and my parents told me that Rita had run away from the asylum, and they were looking for her now. I was sad for how things had turned out in my family, but my sadness was short-lived because I soon found out that I was pregnant. And 9 months later, I gave birth at home to my beautiful daughter, and I named her Sally. When Sally started to crawl, we all knew she was a really curious, naughty baby. Once, she crawled out the kitchen door and out into the backyard, and she was completely quiet. I got scared and ran after her with the maids. When I got there, I saw another basket next to her, and a freaking baby in it. It was a boy. The note next to him said, "This is John, your nephew. I gave birth to him months ago and wanted to raise him, but I discovered that was hard. So I sent him to you, Selena. Take care of him, I guess." I looked at the baby's face and tears rolled down my cheeks. I kissed his forehead. This Rita was full of surprises. When I was about to shut the door and run to my parents, someone pushed it against me. It was Rita. "Oh, you're crying." And she pulled me into the backyard again. Thankfully, the maids were able to catch her and call the police. Rita was sent to jail this time, and I got a restraining order. Me and my family were finally safe. And baby John? Yeah, he was hers, and he lived with us. I raised him like mine. And now I have 4 kids, and we are a happy family.